What if Euphoria wasn't just a cool idea, but a full D&D one-shot your table could play tonight? Today we're brewing Euphoria into a complete one-shot, breaking down the design, the drama, and the decisions to make it work at the table. Ever wonder how to make Euphoria into a D&D one-shot? We'll show you how to do it. After all, this is how we brew it. Homebrew is where the heart is. It's where dungeon masters, murder hobos, dice goblins, and chaos gremlins come together to turn big ideas into unforgettable adventures. So how do you take that spark, a setting, a villain, a mechanic, and turn it into something that actually works at the table? It's simple. We brew it. We've got 6 flavorful categories to walk through designed to help you build your campaigns that capture the feel of your favorite worlds and IPs. Today we're talking about Euphoria, but first today, Taylor, our sponsor is D&T. So Taylor, I'm going to challenge you to do this and read for D&T as if you were a character in the Euphoria universe.
I'm ready. I've been training for this my whole life.
Oh, yes, you have.
Here we go. All right, real talk for a second. If you ever hit that mid-session slump where your brain just logs out, right? Stop, I'm in the middle of a conversation. Logs out right as the DM asks you what to do? Yeah, same. That's why I've been drinking D&T. This isn't just tea. It's your long rest in a cup. Listen, you out here going to class, going to parties, you need to understand that D&T blends are crafted to keep you awake for the next party, okay? Or, for roleplay or whatever. All right? So smooth, flavorful, and dangerously easy to drink. Mid-monologue, I need you to understand, okay? I need you to understand that this is better than anything you ever gonna get at a party, anything you ever gonna buy, okay? If you want to try it, you could use code TSP for 50% off. Not only are you upgrading your table experience, you're directly supporting the show and the play that Homegirl's about to put on next season, okay? No, it's not Oklahoma, even though you look like it. All right, so yeah, grab some D&T, keep your brain online, and maybe, just maybe, you'll keep yourself out of rehab, okay? All right. Did you, what? No, don't talk to me anymore. Don't talk, I have to go to class. Okay.
They try to make me go to rehab, but I said no. Okay, thanks, Taylor, and thanks, D&T, for sponsoring our show.
Yep.
Oh,
I love
this. I'm looking forward to the ad reads every time.
Yes.
Let's get into the categories. A B, base build. What are the core components? Our resonance and vibe. This is where we make our poetic teenage hearts sing. I guess we're all teenagers technically, right? I guess Euphoria.
Nope.
I think for legal purposes, they're probably all 18. E, extra froth. What makes this wildly fun? W, weird for us. That strange little twist you never find on D&D Beyond. I, inciting quest. Every good campaign needs a reason to leave home and a zone of comfort in order to do wild, crazy things at a party, I guess. T, threat level. Let's talk danger. Who or what is the big bad and what is their challenge rating? And is it our parents or is it the prospect of growing up and having to be an adult? All right, Taylor. I haven't seen Euphoria at all. So
this is great.
So I'm going to guess what it's about. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. I'm ready. Go.
I think Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney are just really attractive people who do drugs and do party and in a high school setting that's technically high school, but it's just wild. And it's like new age version of Degrassi with more drugs and hot people.
Close. You get that's like 80%.
Okay, what am I missing?
Technically, like, I don't understand. I feel like I gotta know. There is, love ends up being a huge plot line. But I will say that Zendaya's character Rue, she is like the main one dealing with the drug addiction. Okay. Everybody else is just kind of a high school teenager dealing with that crap. But yeah, Zendaya's kind of like the one dealing with the addiction problem.
Got it. Like, I also know that basically, like, this show has produced, like, so many, like, super famous, mostly female actresses out of it. And it's, like, a factory for that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm, more power to it, I guess, to get more people.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. So, let's talk then, Taylor, about base build. What are the core components for Euphoria? You tell me a little bit, too, because, like, I could just come up with high school tropes, but this is,
Yeah, I do think something that's fascinating and is the idea of addiction and drugs. And it's like in a way that's like Euphoria really deals with it in a very real way, in a very gritty way that like shows you like what it's like to be a teenager struggling with that kind of issue, as opposed to like, I think we're so used to seeing adults struggle with addiction and understanding that weight, that like seeing someone who's not fully mature struggle with that weight is almost harder because they don't have the support and they're hiding it.
Right.
So I would say personally, I think where your head is already going with base build of like, yeah, make them all teenagers is like correct. I think the other layer is this kind of has to be gritty. I think it's like, how can I'm thinking about there's some character that I saw once played that was a wizard who was like had to cast magic. It was an addiction. It was like, yes. So you know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do we take these things, as far as a base build goes, how do we take these things that are components of our characters, but we rely on it to like actually live in the world? So like, the barbarian has an anger management problem. You know what I mean? The wizard is addicted to finding these components. And like, it's kind of bad. Like, it's actually really bad, you know? And like little things like the rogue is maybe a kleptomaniac. Like the rogue needs to stop stealing things. Like that's an actual problem. Yes, your sleight of hand is +9, but it doesn't mean you have to use it, you know? So there's like little things like that I think actually make like adding weight to decisions is I think a huge core component to making Euphoria feel like Euphoria.
Yeah, well, I mean, whenever you do a setting with youth and teenagers, right? Like part of the like reason I really like doing this is because, and I do this often, is when you play a kid or like a young adult where there are so much more weight to the decisions there, the reason there's more weight is because this is the first time they've ever done it, and or there's not as much life experience to know what's going to happen next. Right? By the time that I am, 25, 30, 40 years old, it's like, oh, I've made this kind of decision multiple times. I've made, like, unfortunately, you may have said, oh, like, what if this person has worked their job and they're trying to make ends meet and support their family, and they're 16 and their family's not that well off, so this job is important for them to be able to support their family, and they get fired for the first time, right? Like, that is huge, right?
Yeah.
If you've been fired 5 times, yes, it's a big deal. It's not like fun, right? But also you've done it a couple of times. It's not the same weight. And if you happen to have a golden parachute, then it's like, okay, whatever,
Exactly.
So like it's very different for that youth for the first time. Or of course, like the easier example is heartbreak, right? Like if you had heartbreak over and over and over and you're 28 to 40, it's like, okay, whatever, I guess. I mean, it does suck. Like it's like, oof. But like the random breakup is something you've done. But the first breakup when you're like 13, 14, 15, it's like the world is ending, right?
Yeah.
So that is what I want to capture no matter what. And it's cool that this show is extra in on that.
Yes.
And that there's some way for us to like talk about struggles and addiction in a way that kind of allows us to still have fun, because like the hard part for anything like this, right, is like, how do you make a show that's such a drama fun, right? And potentially your players are just ready because they're like, I want this to be a drama and I'm ready and it's going to be fun to like scream at people and be angry and go, you should never have done that, and like that sort of thing. Like that could be fun for some people, but that's not fun for everybody. So like, how would we keep this fun? And part of the way that we might keep it fun is to kind of make the parts that are more the grittier parts, you can kind of put it into fantasy. That's one of the advantages of fantasy. Putting it into a fantastical realm. So the barbarian raging is literally someone who has anger management issues, right? It's like a little bit funnier than, or like more tame than just like actual anger management issues.
Yeah. I would also say at the same time, like something that this isn't, so this is getting into weird for us, unfortunately, but I guess not unfortunately, but this is getting into weird for us. Something that isn't in D&D proper is having actual options for failure. Like written down, mechanicalized. When you get a crit 1, when you get a nat 1, when you fail, a crit fail, something's gonna happen. And
Right.
like, here's a chart, or here's the one thing that happens, or whatever, or the DM, you make it up. That, I think, also, in a weird way, brings grittiness, brings realism, but also does bring fun. Because in a very strange way, when you see the frame of the house, you know how to decorate it. So you know how to have fun if you know the boundaries in which you are playing in. And I think when you tell your players up front, hey, when you roll that one, I'm stealing this, and I'll be honest, I'm stealing this from another DM that I heard about. He had a whole chart, 1 to 100. Every time someone got in that one, he rolled a D100, and he told them what happened. And it could be anything from, you roll in that one, you lost a toe. Or, you roll in that one, and you literally die. And it's like, whoa, like, that's crazy. But all of the players were like so stoked because they're like, we know that this matters. Like, this is fun because it's cool and it matters. You know?
Right. And you'd probably want to like shift that chart to make sure it makes sense for the setting you're in. But absolutely, like, because like the first time you miss a roll like in a boss fight where you're like, oh, I was gonna smite the thing and like I miss, right? Like the very first time, even as a D&D player, you're like, oh my god, that was a total waste. I'm like, all right, well, I'll smite him next turn.
Right. You're like, we'll just move on.
Because we've done this many times, but like that's because we're veteran players at this point. It's kind of the same thing. So you can kind of actually help players feel the consequence of what they're doing by actually making the consequences more dire. Especially if some of the failures are just prompts for roleplay. I would do it because teenagers, I would mechanicalize it so that every failure has at least some consequence, and there's a special table for critical failures, right? But like every failure should have some little consequence of some kind.
Yes.
You may even want to consider having like a mechanic like called like anxiety or stress that like ticks up, and the more you have it, the more like options that like the way that the Daggerheart does like the hope and fear and all that other stuff, right?
Fear, kids on bikes, they do adversity.
They do adversity, right? Like looking at some of those systems, you want to check that out and kind of add like fun little mechanics like that to kind of make the stress and the anxiety of being a teenager a little bit more hardcore. Okay, so we've got the vibes where we're gonna get gritty. We've got some base build stuff of like we're gonna have these characters all have some sort of shtick that is like a form of addiction or a form of struggle that is fantasized. I think for me, my question, which for the inciting quest, is like I don't know because I don't know the plot of the show. Like, but the question I have is like, okay, well, why not maybe set everyone in the party in a school of a fantasy school where not that I've ever done any of this before, a fantasy school where like there are all these barbarians, the barbarians of the football team or whatever, and they all rage and they're all like, yeah, let's rage, and one of them actually struggles with that anger management, right? Because like the barbarians struggling with anger management isn't that interesting if everyone's like, yeah, dude, I guess, like, but if there's a bunch of people who already have it together, right, then that makes it a lot harder, right?
That's
like
true.
all the rogues are like, hey, we steal stuff, and this rogue's like, no, I have to steal stuff, right? Like all the wizards go out and hang out together, they all collect components, but one of them is like,
like, I can't. If I do, I'm gonna go down a spiral and then make a fireball and kill everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So like that's what you need to kind of do. So that hence I'm suggesting perhaps we make it like a fantasy high school.
Yeah. I wonder if this is just me pitching based on what you said, because I like it. I wonder if all of that takes place at a party, mostly to say, because of Euphoria, most of this stuff happens at parties. A lot of it happens in school. Most of it happens at parties. So I'm like, go to a bunch of high school kids who are invited to, maybe they're invited to their first party. They're not nerds, but they're like a little bit of outcasts maybe. They're invited to their first party, or one of them is invited and the rest of them take along.
Yeah.
And all the football players are there and they're raging on purpose. And all of the rogues are there and they're like seeing how who can steal without being seen the most. And all the wizards are there and they're in the garden like picking plants, and those are components for sure. And it's like, oh no, So it's like having those different things happen would be fascinating at a party, because it's like the stakes are, well, we kind of wanted to be famous, or not famous, but popular. And it's
popular
like,
and cool, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if like threat level. So to be completely honest, in Euphoria, the big bad is like everybody's own internal struggle. There's
Right.
no one that's like really a villain.
Yeah.
And they all become each other's villains in some way.
Right.
So I'm like, you could easily do like have just another party that is exactly the same classes as that party that are doing all those things and are pressuring these players to do that. Or you can queen bee it up, have one popular girl who's just in charge and she's a cleric and she's like, my future says you all still suck at the end of this party. Like, it's like, you know, like you could really make it like basic teenager, like queen bee baddie, which would be great. It's, you know, that's still very Euphoria. So it's just up to you, you know?
Yeah. I would also say you're probably not doing tons of actively planned fights for sure. This is the sort of thing where it's like, you know, the jocks get into a fight and you're like, okay, we're going to fight, but like probably not as much. I would definitely ensure, like, if you're going to have the character sheets, that you'd want to make sure that there's some stuff that they have in there that is good for non-fighting, especially if there's a barbarian. The barbarian should have some extra stuff that helps them, like,
like like good intimidation, or
stuff like that.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I would say, so jumping back a little bit backwards into like weird for us extra frost stuff. I personally love the music for Euphoria. The music and the aesthetic of this show are so important to make it cool that, like, and sure, maybe this dips into Resident Evil vibe, but this doesn't have to be real. That's why I'm like, this is more extra froth. I really think you should think about using Labyrinth's music for this one shot. It sets the mood. It really, really does. If you want to put glittery eyeshadow on, have a blast. If you want to wear a hoodie and look strung out, have a blast. But that's up to you. But I think the music really adds such a cool layer to what's going on that I think it would be really fun to experiment with that.
If you're specifically going for Euphoria, the soundtrack's gonna be very good. In general, if you're gonna do a high school setting and you are like, you want to create the high school feel, make sure to use Euphoria, or just in general, like find stuff that your party would associate with high school. You know, those types of things can help a little bit too. And then what kind of music would be playing at the party? Right? So that you're like, okay, I went to high school in this year, so we're gonna be playing this type of music because this is what I was doing, and I'd be listening to Jay Sean Down, baby, are you down? Like that's the sort of stuff that I was listening to in high school because that's how old I am. Tears.
Why are you giving your age away on the podcast?
It's fine. But yeah, so those are the types of extra froth, the weird for us sort of stuff. Honestly, for me, like running around in high school and like having those type of things, those are like, then I love these kind of stories regardless. So all the extra froth is already here. It's the setting. I'm like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
So Taylor, before I summarize, any other final thoughts, just in case?
Yeah, I would say final thoughts, because Euphoria is Euphoria, check in with your players about safety tools. I think we brought this up with Bridgerton. Euphoria especially. Euphoria talks about addiction. Euphoria talks about intimacy. It talks about trauma. Be very careful of what you decide to bring into a fantasy setting. And I would say talk about safety tools with your players. Just double check what's okay and what might stress somebody out to the point where they want to get up from the table. Especially for Euphoria. You want it to be fun. You don't want it to be stressful. So.
And for those who are watching the channel in general, where you have questions about, like, the coolest part about D&D and TTRPGs in general is you can take what you want, you can leave what you don't want.
Yeah.
And always take what you want and leave what you don't want in order to make the game that's going to be good for your table, because you know what your table is and who they are. And if you don't, you got to ask all these questions so you do know. And it never hurts to double check on some of these things.
Yeah.
So definitely keep that in mind. All right, everybody, as we try and make Euphoria into a one-shot, we suggest that you make everyone a teenager and make it a little gritty, where the different classes all have something that's kind of like their thing. Like the barbarian has anger management, the rogue is a klepto, the wizard is addicted to collecting components compulsively. There needs to be weight to the decisions they're going to make, so we're going to have mechanicalized failure, where bigger consequences to failure itself. Every time they fail, they get an extra penalty of some kind, and if they crit fail, it's even worse. And we're going to have everyone show up to a party, but the party is the player party is a bit of an outcast, and they are invited to their first hangout party ever. And the party is made up of fantasy high school kids who are actively doing the things that the player's characters struggle with, and they have to navigate this situation and figure out how they're going to do. Because the threat, are they going to be popular by the end of the night? But also the threat, are they going to stay true to themselves and learn more about who they are? And of course, double check in with everyone around safety. Regardless, everybody, thanks so much for watching. And if you like this content, you can follow and like this content for more content like this.
This is how we brew it. Jurassic Park, How to Train Your Dragon, The Princess Bride, Inception, Matrix, Mad Max, Fury Road, John Wick, Ghostbusters, Pokemon, Hunger Games, 28 days later.
Hey there, just want to shout out to our patrons. Thanks so much for subscribing on Patreon and supporting the show. Thanks to Count Bubba, Fizz, Fedorable Will, Richard, Varner Jr., and Who's Scruffy Looking.